Okay, we're going to look at a skill which I'm going to ask you to practice as well, because without practice there is no point in looking at the skill, and it is called objection handling. How do you handle objections? And what we're looking at is a little model, a little tool to help you think about objections in a way that you can always handle them well. And practice, one of the most important skills that there is in the whole corporate world. They've done a lot of different tests on what are commonly perceived to be the most important management skills or salesperson skills. And the one answer that comes out again and again and again is the ability to listen, and to listen well. Yeah? So active listening is a skill within itself, and the principle of objection handling is also a principle of practicing this very important skill of how to handle somebody's objections constructively in a way that you can move forward. Okay? Because when somebody objects, when they say, stop, I don't agree, for whatever reason, it causes a block in the discussion. And we need to try and move through that block effectively. Let's look at a couple of reasons. Oh, first of all, we look at a wise French person. Not sure if you'll be able to see this on the screen, but on the slides you'll get it. Blaise Pascal. It's not very often I have something positive to say about the French. Yeah? But this chap was a genius and a physicist or a chemist, and he said some very wise words. One of them, people are generally better persuaded by the reasons that they themselves discover rather than those that have come into the mind of others. And the same thing in different words, people are usually more convinced by reasons that they discover themselves rather than those found by others. So, people convince themselves. They are not convinced by other people. They go through the rational process of convincing themselves and not the other way around. Yeah? So the situation where somebody says, you are wrong, and you respond with the words, no, I am right, that doesn't help. For the purpose of convincing somebody that an idea is good, we need to be a little bit more active within this. Let's have a look at how we do this. Give me some examples. What are some common objections that you will hear from customers?
Temporarily, we don't need to
We don't need it. Yep. What else?
We have already covered it.
Already got it.
We do it ourselves.
Do it ourselves. Very effective to do it yourself. Sorry. Yeah. We do it ourselves. We don't need you. Yeah? What else? Zamani, right? Too expensive. So there's a whole bunch of different objections that people are going to have, and you could probably write 3 flip charts full of different objections, but we're not going to do that. Let's just focus on this one. What reasons could somebody have for saying it's too expensive? What different reasons could you think of? Because if I say it's too expensive, what can you do with that? Say to me it's too expensive.
Too expensive.
No, it's not. Right? Oh, yes it is. Oh, no it isn't. Oh, yes it is. That's a good argument, isn't it? Yeah, you pay money for that. So this objection is that you can't go anywhere with this. Yeah, it's too expensive. This is what we call, in negotiation skills, we call it a position.